difference, it's time to compare the OnePlus 13 with the Honor Magic 7 Pro. These are among the first smartphones with the Snapdragon 8 Elite that arrived in Europe in 2025. On paper, both have top-notch specs, but are there any major differences between them? Or maybe there is an area when one clearly outshines the other? Let's dive in. When it comes to the design, both phones are obviously different, but they do share some similarities. First of all, both are large phones, but the OnePlus is a bit lighter. The camera bump is quite similar, although with the OnePlus is a slightly shift to the side, while on the Honor is placed in the center. The OnePlus also has a slider for switching between phone profiles, which is a nice touch. But of course, design isn't everything. It's the ergonomics that matter. The Honor is a bit wider than the OnePlus, and you can feel the difference. Of course, it's all about getting used to it. After using iPhone 16 Pro Max in a case, I got used to the Honor too. As a build quality, I have no complaints. And look, that's all about personal taste. It's also worth noting that both phones are IP69 certified. The screen on both phones are LTPO displays with 120 Hz refresh rates and 6.8-inch size. Compared to their predecessors, these screens are much flatter, but not completely flat. The curve on all four sides is minimal. It's hard to say which one has less of a curve. I would like to say they are pretty similar, but the OnePlus screen transitions more smoothly into the frame. In case of Honor has a more pronounced frame. The OnePlus has a higher resolution, QHD+, versus Full HD Plus on the Honor. Both displays support PWM dimming, the OnePlus at 2160 Hz and the Honor at over 4320 Hz, which could affect people who are sensitive to flicker. The peak brightness on Honor is 5000 nits, while the OnePlus peaks at 4500 nits. Of course, these values are only for HDR content. For typical brightness, both phones are at 1600 nits. When I used them inside, the brightness was very similar, but in direct sunlight, the differences became more noticeable. The Honor handled automatic brightness adjustment better in some cases. Its screen was maxed out, while the OnePlus sometimes slightly lowered the brightness. I also noticed that the OnePlus colors were more saturated at the full brightness, even though both screens were set to the vivid mode. And one more thing, the white on Honor is perfect in my opinion, is like snow white. Honor offers a new always-on display feature that tracks the wallpaper you set, while the OnePlus uses the older always-on display version. But you can also set the older always-on display on the Honor. Where the Honor definitely wins is the biometrics. Both phones have fast-working fingerprint scanners, but the Honor also has amazing 3D face recognition that I use 90% of the time. Not only does it let you unlock the phone, but it also authorizes bank transactions. It's really great. As for performance, I have no issue with either phone. Both have Snapdragon 8 Elite. In my case, OnePlus has 16 GB of RAM, while Honor has 12. They both perform like rockets. App open instantly on both. Of course, each phone runs a different skin. Honor uses Magic OS and OnePlus uses Oxygen OS, which is a very mature and polished interface. Personally, I like Magic OS more visually, but for functionality, I would go with Oxygen OS. Both phones have AI features. On the OnePlus, there is AI summary, AI speech, but unfortunately, not all languages are supported. The Honor has Magic Portal and live AI translations, but not working in all languages. However, Magic Portal seems like a pretty cool feature. There also offers AI options in Gallery, like the Magic Eraser and the Reflections Removal in OnePlus 13. Let's talk about haptics. It's hard to compare the OnePlus haptics to the Honors. as they are on a completely different level. The Oneplus has excellent haptics, the feedback is spot on, and you can even customize it. The Honor has mediocre haptics, and there is no way to adjust them. When it comes to benchmarks, like Geekbench, neither phone is lacking, but things change when you run 3D Mark. With the OnePlus 13, there were no issues. It passed the Wildlife Extreme Stress test every time, with the second test showing even better stability. Temperatures were around 45 to 46 degrees during the first test and 48 to 49 during the second. No overheating warnings. The Honor, on the other hand, had a problem with it. It was the first phone I've had where I could count on the one hand the number of successful Wildlife Extreme Stress tests. Out of several attempts, only 2 were successful, and they didn't happen one after the other. After each test, whether it passed or not, I got the overheating message. Temperatures were around 51 to 53 degrees. I went back to my review on the Honor Magic 6 Pro in my Polish channel, of course, to compare the temperatures, and those were around 45 degrees with better stability. So I decided to play Genshin Impact on both phones. After 40 minutes of gameplay at 60 FPS, the Honor reached 36 degrees and the OnePlus hit 38 degrees. Both phones have a game mode, and I play it on the max performance settings. It's hard to test how they will perform in the higher temperatures, because now there is only 22 degrees in the sun. And in this temperature, after about 10 minutes recording, the OnePlus reached 33 degrees and the Honor hit 36. In the summer, things may be different, but for now I can say for sure because it's too cold. It's not summer. Both devices have an IR blaster for controlling devices at home, which is a nice feature. I use it for controlling my air conditioner. They also both have dynamic islands, but they don't support all apps. Regarding software support, Honor offers 5 years of Android updates, while OnePlus gives 4 years. Signal reception is fine on both phones, but the real differences show up in call quality. Both phones produce clear sound without any sibilance, but the Honor's sound is noticeably higher pitched. If you're sensitive to high sound, you might find longer calls a bit annoying. The OnePlus doesn't have this issue. Both phones have great speakers, but the Honors are louder and sound a bit different. The Honor seems to have a wider soundstage, but after about 60 or 70% volume, the sound starts to resonate weirdly. I use the 3D surround sound settings, which sound better to me. If I had to choose, I will probably go with the Honor, even though I don't like how strongly the back of the phone vibrates sometimes. It can be annoying. As for codecs, the OnePlus has a wider selections, including LDAC, LHDC, aptX, aptX HD, and aptX Adaptive. The Honor only has LDAC, aptX, and aptX HD. And now let's talk about cameras. Both phones have 3 lenses, but to keep things short, their specs are on the slide. Let's focus on the photo quality. The main camera shots in good light are really good on both phones. In many cases, the photo processing is quite similar. Both phones produce fairly natural colors. On the Honor, you can choose from the 3 photo modes: natural, authentic, and vivid, while the OnePlus has more typical filters that affect the overall picture, not just the colors. The photos shown from the Honor were taken in the natural mode. In most cases, the photos from the both phones aren't over-sharpened, but the devil is in the details. On a sunny day, the differences in detail is small, but in poorer light conditions is more apparent. When you zoom in on these photos, is a mostly more detail that appears on the OnePlus. And now in Honor, we can use 1.4 aperture or 2.0, or use it in the auto mode. When it comes to wide-angle shots, the Oneplus has a 120 field of view and the Honor has 122. And you can definitely notice that the Honor's field of view is wider. The photos look similar at the first glance, but when zoomed in, the Honor tends to smooth out the details, while the Oneplus sharpens them more. As for the telephoto lens, I was surprised. On paper, the Honor should outperform the Oneplus due to its larger sensor and higher megapixels. But in most cases, it was the photos taken with the Oneplus had more detail. A downside to the Oneplus telephoto lens is the focusing distance, over 50 centimeters, which means close-up shots are just crops from the main sensor. The Honor focuses at about 25 centimeters, which is much better for close-up shots, for example, flowers. At 6x zoom, the Honor takes the lead with much better shots. Both phones do a good job with up to 10x zoom, but above 10x, the AI starts to work with different results. The Honor has higher zoom better for text, but sometimes the Oneplus does better job with objects' edges. Also, on both smartphones, the AI sometimes adds elements that weren't there, which can look funny. Fortunately, you can turn off these AI super zoom features. For portraits, the Oneplus lets you shoot at 1x, 2x and 3x, while the Honor adds 6x. Both phones let you adjust the blur level after taking the shot, which is a nice touch. Both do a decent job with background separations, but Honor seems to do a better job with hair, but I noticed that when zooming in, the Honor tends to lose detail on faces, or it looks like additional face powder added. This doesn't happen on Oneplus. Both phones offer macro shots. You can activate macro by getting close to the objects or use the dedicated super macro mode on the Honor or macro shot option in the Oneplus settings. The photos are of similar quality, good for phones that don't have macro possibility with telephoto lens like Vivo X100 Ultra or Vivo X200 Pro. The front cameras on both phones are decent and typical selfies looks good on both. It's worth turning off the face beauty on Honor to remove the face smoothing effect in the photos. When it comes to the portrait mode with the front camera, the Honor does a better job. It separates her from the background much better, something the Oneplus struggles with. Night shots differ. On the OnePlus they look more contrasty and the colors are more saturated. Both phones have automatic night modes. The Honor's night mode activates unnoticeable. Also on the Honor, reflections from lights come out as star-shaped, which looks cool, but can look artificial if overdone. When it comes to action shots, both smartphones have dedicated action mode. In good light conditions, both phones perform excellently. In slightly less light, they still do very well, but here, especially with the telephoto lens, Honor showed a slightly lower number of blurred images. Under artificial light, things change a bit. Honor seems to perform a bit better, especially when zooming in at 3x. At 6x, the photos from the Honor seems less blurry, but the edges of objects looks a bit deformed, as if the AI is trying to compensate for the fast shutter speed. This doesn't happen with the OnePlus. Regarding video, the Honor records up to 4K 60 frames, while the OnePlus records up to 8K 30 frames. Both can record with HDR mode. There is one thing that annoys me with the OnePlus. After about 5 minutes, the screen dims. It's not like with the OnePlus 12, where the screen completely went black and you had to tap it to get the regular recording image back. Here the screen dims almost entirely, but you can still see the recorded image. A message pops up saying, brightness has been reduced to extend recording time, tap to undo, or something like that. But even after tapping in strong sunlight, the screen still seems dimmed. I'm not sure if this is a bug or not. Same things happened indoors, so it looks like OnePlus has this feature, but touching the screen indoors noticeably increases the brightness. Outdoors, this touching the screen doesn't restore full brightness in the sun. I'm curious to see what happened when the temperature will be much higher. 4K 60 frames, both smartphones. In Honor and in OnePlus we can pause or we can take photo, and in both we can switch between lenses. But in OnePlus we can switch between wide 1x, 2x, 3x, 6x, but in Honor we can only switch between wide 1x and 2.6x. I don't know why, because the telephoto lens in Honor is 3x. Okay, wide both. The wide angle in Honor is very wide because you can see my tripod here. Okay, we're back to 1x, and now (3x) and OnePlus and 2.6 in Honor. And now we have to use slider in Honor if you want to zoom in. So now 6x in Honor and OnePlus. And in Honor the max is 10x, and in OnePlus the max is 18x. It's like this. Okay, we're back to 1x, and now running.
4K 60 frames, both smartphones. In the OnePlus and Honor we can pause, we can take photo, but we can switch to the main camera. On the Honor we can switch the angle, we can change the angle from 0.8 to 1x, like here. And now towards sun. And now running. Okay guys, another test, autofocus test. In terms of OnePlus, we know that it doesn't have autofocus, but in terms of Honor, a lot of sources on the internet say that it has autofocus, but on the producer website we only see information about 3D camera depth, so it's no information about autofocus. Okay, so we check it is the small flower, the first OnePlus. Okay, it doesn't sharpen. And now Vivo X100 Ultra, it has autofocus. Yes, we see it sharpens. And now the Honor Magic 7 Pro. Okay, it doesn't sharpen.
As for the battery, both smartphones have new generation batteries. However, the OnePlus has grown compared to its predecessor. Now it's 6000 mAh. Meanwhile, Honor's battery has decreased, now at 5270 mAh in Europe. I honestly have no complaints about either phone. In both cases, I get 5 to 6 hours of screen on time in mixed usage. But with the OnePlus, I once hit over 6 hours 30 minutes screen on time, which is a great result for me. Both phones no longer come with a charger in box. Wireless charging is 100 watt for both OnePlus and Honor, while wireless charging is 50 watt on the OnePlus and 80 watt on the Honor. These are both great phones, but I really enjoy using the Honor despite it lacks ergonomic size. To be honest, I have a bit of soft spot for it, but considering it's more expensive than the OnePlus 13 and that extra cost doesn't outclass the OnePlus in a strong way, then the OnePlus seems like a more interesting option. I'm talking about the price difference. I don't take away from the fact that Honor is a very good phone. It's a flagship model, but its price is still quite high, which for many people may or may not be the deciding factor in choosing it. Thank you for this video. I'm glad you made it to the end. I encourage you to subscribe because it motivates me to keep making these videos for you. Leave comment if you want to, and I will see you next time. Bye.